Hello and welcome to another edition of Discover Mercer County Business. I'm your host, Rod Wilt, and I'm the Executive Director of Penn-Northwest Development Corporation. We are Mercer County, Pennsylvania's certified economic development organization. Our motto is, make it in Mercer County. And our role is to create low-cost financing solutions for recruiting, retaining, and growing jobs and business opportunities in every corner of our county. The sole purpose of this program is to showcase people and organizations that are making things happen here. We interview them to find out why they have chosen Mercer County, Pennsylvania as a great place to live, learn, work, and play. We're producing this show in conjunction with Teal College students, faculty, and staff, and we're coming to you from the state-of-the-art TV and radio studios in the James Pettis Communications Center on Teal's campus in Greenville, PA. If you would like to connect with our Improvement Movement team to see how you can make it in Mercer County, please visit our website at penn-northwest.com or give us a call at 724-662-3705. You can also find us on YouTube by searching Penn-Northwest Development Corp. or connect with us on LinkedIn and other social media platforms. We hope you enjoy this edition of Discover Mercer County Business. Today we welcome to our program someone I've known for a long time, Tim Feeney with Sharon Tube, a Zekelman company. We'll talk about what that means, but Tim, welcome.
Thank you, Rod. Nice to be here.
Well, there's so much to ask and to learn about your history in the tube business and the long run that Sharon Tube has had in the Shenango Valley and just literally thousands of employees over the years. But your story, how did you come through the ranks to now be one of the leaders in the tube industry across the country even?
Yeah. Well, I was kind of born into it. My grandfather was at Wheatland Tube. My dad, of course, who you know, was at Wheatland Tube for many years. So in college, I worked as a laborer in the plant and started out as a foreman and have had the opportunity just to, work my way up. And luckily, I've been able to sustain for 34 years, roughly. So, yeah.
Well, we have an initiative we're going to talk about in a little bit called the Homegrown Initiative, where we're trying to capture as much talent that is either homegrown in Mercer County or even those kids that came to school at one of our colleges or at BC3 or one of our trade schools, and how we keep them here in Mercer County. But talk a little bit about Sharon Tube, where you are, your sister or partner company, Wheatland Tube, the lines of business, and what some of our viewers maybe remember them from back in the day, but what was the business and what is it today?
Sure. Well, Sharon Tube was established in the 1929 in Mercer County, Sharon, and making CW pipe.
And what does that mean?
CW pipe is a continuous weld pipe that's made through a furnace where you heat the strip of steel up to about 2,300 degrees, and then you hot form it.
You roll it together.
You roll it together. And so it's annealing itself, but then you also blow oxygen on the seam to really enhance the weld. Wheatland Tube, the other plant, is very similar, and it still today runs a CW mill. Wheatland Tube actually started as John Manili Company in the 1870s.
Wow.
As a distributor of fittings and pipe valves in Philadelphia, but eventually in 1931 started its plant in its location in Wheatland today, and has been making pipe ever since, and has really enhanced it and grown, but that's when it started. And Sharon Tube also has now really made grown into the DOM business that's drawn over mandrel. It's highly specialized tubing for cylinders, and it holds a real tight tolerance of tubing where OEMs can really take the product. They can trust what it's the OD, ID wall. The tolerances are so tight they get a consistency plus the strength, and they can use it. They cut it and really fabricate it. So
that's a higher end application.
Higher end application tubing, yes.
Has the oil and gas industry at all fed into either one of those mills, or is there a type of tubing or pipe that is manufactured by either one of your plants that has that application?
Somewhat, Rod. Zekelman Industries, which has 13 plants across North America, has a division that's an energy tubular market. It's called Energex, but that division really relies on other mills to make the gas and oil tubing, but we're not a huge player in it. We've been in it. We still play in some of the transportation of, the transporting of the gas, but, not a real big player overall.
When you look at the end users of your products, where would someone see or find the Sharon Tube product?
It would be hard to see or find it, but really that's a big part of my job that I love to hear is from the customers, what they're doing with the tubing. And one of my favorites is the John Deere has this enormous farming equipment. It's a cotton picking machine that actually drives over through the cotton fields, and it actually will bale the cotton as it drives through it. And as it's baling, you can imagine it's building and building a huge ball of cotton in there. So it needs a whole series of rollers inside this equipment, and then it actually plastic wraps it. But to control the roll or bale is our tubing.
No, it's fascinating.
So you won't be able to see it, but
yeah. But I mean, when I think about I've been to the plant and drive by it, I don't think of that agricultural application for it.
Yeah, and some of the things you may see is like in garbage trucks or things like that, the cylinders that actuate the dumping or the grabbing now. Those are cylinder tubes we make. In cement trucks, the equipment there that's agitating the tank. That's our equipment. That's our tubing.
And do you rely mostly on American-made steel, or you get caught up in the import and tariff that we hear about so often in the steel business?
Yes, we buy domestic steel. That's one of our main focuses is domestic. So the trade, our leadership really watches the steel, the buying and things like that, and watches all the trade cases very closely. We're active in all of them, the steel side and the tubing side. But yeah, we buy domestic steel. And as far as trades, we're very active in the 232 tariffs, which have been really talked about a lot recently. President Trump had put them in. They've sustained, but we've made some changes with Japan, and then the European nations have also been maneuvered. But those we don't think will hurt us. We think it's a good move. So we've been active in those. Our senior leadership's very active in all the trade cases and things.
So when we talk about tariffs, because politically it's a nice buzzword, and Buy American, obviously, who doesn't want to support our domestic manufacturers? A lot of folks don't understand that the need for steel for production, the demand outweighs the domestic supply in many cases. Is that correct?
That's true. So there is, you have to have that balance, and that's really what we preach. We want level playing field, and if there's not enough supply, you certainly have to
go offshore to get it.
You have to go offshore to get it. But you'll read there's a lot of reshoring going on, and a lot of the domestic steel manufacturers are adding capacity. So they're trying to counterbalance that. But for sure, if there's no supply, you have to import it.
So this idea that there's not a pound of steel made in the U.S. anymore is kind of not true, that a lot of these mills have either reactivated or, as you said, with technology, increase their capacity. We hear about the electric arc furnaces coming and the mini mills are coming, and we've heard of the Nucors and U.S. Steel making huge investments, and LMK locally making huge investments in the rolled steel industry. So you're seeing that. You're getting that end product into your mill.
Yes, we are.
And pricing?
Steel pricing has been really up and down. It was really up over the last year, and it started to settle back in. The war had changed it. Ukraine has a lot of the components that go into steel, so that's changed the supply demand. But steel went back up a little bit, but it's leveled off. And we think it's going to sustain at the level it's at, in the $1,200 to $1,400 range. So,
how far out, and maybe this is your area, maybe it isn't, but how far out are you able to lock in that price?
Locking in a price, I'm not in the steel buying, but
right,
we It fluctuates pretty good. We buy out about a month and a half.
Okay.
So yeah.
So it's not that long term.
No, it can change pretty quick.
So when
yeah.
you're watching the nightly news and you hear about steel being up and down, that's impacting at least the month-to-month operation of your business.
Yes.
So when I drive by, a little change of subject, but when I drive by and I see a Zekelman Industry, uh, what does that mean? I've had the great fortune, thanks to you, to sit and talk with Barry Zekelman for a half an hour, and very dynamic personality, a lot younger guy than you would envision. Phenomenal story how he took over one plant that his father, when he passed away relatively unexpectedly, left in the family, but no one really knew much about the industry, right? And he's
Right.
self-taught. But what's your Zekelman Industry story, both personally and from the plant side?
Well, Zekelman Industries is it's the family, so it's family owned. Um, Barry bought back all of the plants from the private equity. There was acquisitions in 2006, 2007, but in 2011, and Barry was part of all of those, but he was also part with private equity. But in 2011, he bought back all of the Wheatland Tube, Sharon Tube, and all of the other plants. And then we rebranded and changed our name to our base name, our parent name, to Zekelman Industries in 2016. So what it means to me is it's a really great organization, as you mentioned. Barry's a great leader. He's dynamic and really good to the people, and all the way through, from the shop floor, everybody, and he really cares. So Zekelman Industries, we have a large basket of goods, from structural tubing, electrical conduit, DOM, standard pipe, things like that. So it's been very good. Personally, to me, I think that it's a well-run company. They treat people right and give you the opportunity to grow, and and wants to do good in the communities. And I think that's part of the reason I'm here today. So
Yeah, and we're going to talk about the long relationship. Your father was one of our board chairs the early stages in the 80s and 90s of Penn-Northwest. And
right,
when I was in elected office in the late 90s, early 2000s, your dad was very active in the community, both from the charitable area, and you and your brother have carried that on, and politically active. But I want to talk a little bit before we head into the break. We know manufacturers are really, it's kind of an interesting dichotomy where we used to have a lot of workers chasing a few jobs. Now we have a lot of jobs chasing fewer workers, and that's where we got into our homegrown initiative, trying to get people to think about staying in the community here in the county when they look for a job. But have you seen that dynamic change in your business as a big employer in the county?
yeah, no, you're spot on. I remember back in probably '93 or '94, we were coming out of the '80s, where it was, manufacturing was a little bit tough, and we really needed employees. All we really had to do was put a sign on the corner, and we'd have 100 people waiting, for the job. But now it's the exact opposite, and we've have to really, the program that you're talking about is what we need. We really need to be homegrown. We need to really get into the high schools and teach that, hey, these manufacturing jobs are a great career, high paying, good way to support your family, and you don't have to leave our great area to do it. So
The thing that really strikes me about the change in the industry is just how technologically advanced it's become. You're not making guys that go to work there aren't pipe makers. They're technicians. They're engineers. And it doesn't mean they need an engineering degree to do it. It's all the on-the-job training that you do.
it is. It's on the job training, but some of the things I'm most proud of is I've seen the evolution. A lot of the jobs are very physical and dirty and hard, and but always had equipment to run. Well, we've been evolving to more PLC-driven operations, some robotics, which we're getting more and more into, and a lot of highly technical machinery. The workforce that we have moved right in, and they adapted to it, and it was really interesting to see. And but for the next wave, the next gen, it isn't going to be your old-fashioned story of the way it was in the 20s or 30s. It is going to be more pulpits with computer operated, operations and things like that. So that's the message we want to get out. It's a machine run through technology, which the next gen is pretty well used to doing.
Yeah, when I'm out talking to anybody that I get invited to talk to, I don't think I use the word manufacturing without putting the word clean in front of it. I am blown away as I go down through, MLK Boulevard, Swamp Road, as we call it locally, or through the Reynolds development, or up into the Greenville and over into Jackson Center, and visit some of these plants. It's mind-boggling how clean and safe they are.
Yes. Well, that has really been the focus, and I know that's one of our key focuses at Sharon Tube and Wheatland Tube, Zekelman overall. But all the other plants, that's what we're really preaching. We know that's the way to go.
Before we head into the break, we want to get to this little spot on our homegrown initiative we want to show our viewers, Tim. But we've noticed the wage creep. It's creeping up, trying to attract more people back into the workforce. What have you seen in that regard, and how has it impacted the company overall? Obviously, it's an investment in people that you're being forced to make. How have you seen that grow over the last couple of years?
We have extremely high paying jobs, so it hasn't hit us to the fact where we're competing against the creep, which I support. I think everything has to keep coming up, but we have incentivized jobs, and we think that's the way to go. But we have a nice elevated base where we haven't had to really compete on a economic basis. We're still, our biggest issue is that we work turns and some overtime. That's really where it's not the wages anymore. That we haven't hit that. It hasn't affected us as much.
So your culture more is about how to manage that work life, because when you come to work, if you're able to earn an opportunity with your company, your starting wage is going to be up there and pretty solid.
Yes.
It's getting used to just the demands on your work life.
Right.
But that equates to higher wages
It does.
At the end of the day.
Yeah. So it's something we recognize, and we're working on it.
It's a work in process always.
Yes.
We're going to take a quick break and come back and talk about some of these things we mentioned earlier about the relationship between Sharon Tube, Wheatland Tube, Zekelman Industries, and Penn-Northwest. We'll be right back after this message on Penn-Northwest's Homegrown Initiative.
Is your company looking to expand and grow? Then Mercer County, Pennsylvania is the right place for you. Whether your company is involved in manufacturing, technology, logistics, health, or business services, shale gas exploration, or retail, we can help. Mercer County, Pennsylvania offers low-cost land, valuable infrastructure, a quality labor force, and the right financial tools to make your corporate expansion an affordable reality. Mercer County is only a day's drive to major markets including Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Buffalo, New York City, Chicago, and even southern Canada. Companies like GE Transportation, Joy Cone Company choose to make it in Mercer County, and Penn-Northwest wants to show you how your company can also make it in Mercer County too. Our team of experts will help you expand and save dollars. How does Penn-Northwest do it? How does Penn-Northwest save companies so much money? With a combination of low-interest loans, grants and credits, tax abatements, and even tax-free property. Here's the best part. Penn-Northwest will do most of the work for you. Just click on the button below and get the process started. Or you can first get an idea of how your organization can make it in Mercer County by using the savings estimator located at makeitinmercercounty.com. You'll see that expanding your business in Mercer County, Pennsylvania is the move that makes the most dollars and cents. Call Penn-Northwest Development Corporation at 724-662-3705 for more information.
And welcome back to Discover Mercer County Business. We have the pleasure today of sitting down with Tim Feeney from Sharon Tube. And Tim, the mill's growing. We're working on a big initiative now. Talk about what's happening at the mill.
So as you know, Rod, we've planned, and we're in a large capital project to improve our our warehouse, our shipping warehouse. It's a automated racking system that automatically puts the finished goods away, and it can retrieve them for shipments. It's going to be about a $12 million project altogether. And what it entails is we're going to add to our existing warehouse to improve our truck docks. And we're going to retrofit our finishing lines where the finished goods will go directly into the warehouse without any intervention. So it's really going to improve our capacity to store finished goods. It's going to increase our warehousing by about 150%, which cascades back. It's one of our constraints today is warehousing, and it'll really let us do a little more batch operations, which will gain efficiencies, and we'll be able to do a little more there. Potentially change our business model to a degree. We are a make to order business, but we have a lot of repetitive orders that maybe we can get ahead of and things like that. But so there's efficiencies, a lot of improvements in safety, a lot of the interactions and things like that will be improved. So the human interaction with the lifts and things. So we're looking forward to that. It's really a nice project for us overall. So.
Yeah, I was excited to read about it, and I didn't realize that part of what just adds cost and lost time is money, is the retrieval process. So this automation or this racking system is really going to improve that greatly.
Yes, that's a great point. We spent a lot of time unburying. We have a traditional racking where we set the lifts down, and to get a load ready, we may have to move 3 or 4 lifts just to get to the ones we want, and all of that's going to go away. So yeah, really happy about that.
Switching gears a little bit, but thinking back over your 30-plus year history, Mercer County is a very proud manufacturing community. And I say that, have never spent one day in manufacturing, but you have. So what makes Mercer County unique for a rural county of 110,000 people when it comes to your business and actually being known as kind of a tube mill capital of the eastern part of the United States here?
Yeah, we do have a lot of generations going through the plants,
like legacy workers,
grandfather,
fathers.
Yes.
Now.
So my brother Ned and I, we're not the only two that have done that. So it's there's a lot in that, and the way we train is really on the job training, mentoring, mirroring, and the pride of the workers does pass along to the next generation. And I think that's a big part of it, is that, and it's been a key for us, that it's the workforces that we've had in both Wheatland and Sharon over the years. So I think that's what really drives it.
But there's also been a strong, and we mentioned it earlier, that strong commitment to the community. And we're a public-private partnership with our county commissioners, but really our business community at Penn-Northwest is the economic development agency who kind of tries to look at the current needs of our employers, but also be on the front end of the next generation and trying to recruit them. But where did that come from? It seems like it's just embedded in that industry and in your family in particular. It's fascinating to me.
Well, starting with my dad, who was a strong believer in Penn-Northwest and economic development, and really growing up in the area, and seeing the big Sharon Steels or Westinghouse, you can see what that could happen if they don't work out. And so that's always instilled. I firmly believe economic development is a key pillar to any community. So it's a big strength that I think we have to enforce. Penn-Northwest has always been a great partner for us. Coming from manufacturing, I always consider the manufacturing sector really a big driver for the economy, but recognizing there's support manufacturing or support businesses that are just as key as the big manufacturing, and going all the way to grocery stores to everything. And so it all ties together, and Penn-Northwest has been great in seeing what our needs are and helping us communicate with the other businesses in the area and how could we collaborate or what's new, and then new businesses that come in. How can they fit in the puzzle of what we're trying to achieve and what could be beneficial to all of us. So
Yeah, it really does, fit into that supply chain and supply chain management that, even though we may not be making the steel in the Shenango Valley anymore, there's still a lot of component parts, a lot of machine parts, a lot of ancillary uh, instruments that you're using that are happening elsewhere around the county. So there is a lot of synergy between the manufacturing sector and a lot of different, and I think that's the part that we're trying to communicate to people is, you know, there is a width, but also a depth to our economy. We're just not based on that one big 10,000 employer anymore. And that's something you guys have lived through and seen with your own eyes.
yes.
Well, when you look to the future, it seems like we're rebuilding America right now. There's a lot of big capital projects being undertaken. What does the future of your business look like?
It's exciting. So on the first part for the United States and North America in general, there's a lot of reshoring. I think a lot of the end users, the OEMs, things like that use the tubing in our case, have realized, like with the chips. I mean, the auto manufacturers, that's the best example. The chips, you couldn't get them and you still can't. So the reshoring has been very positive to us. And so we feel that there's gonna be a lot of businesses coming back. And then I think the future is really gonna be exciting because like us, we're investing a lot in our facilities. And that's just gonna continue to make things better. We'll be ready for the next future. We know there's got to be automation and robotics, and that's coming. And we're researching it. We're very active in it, and we're going to make the right decisions. So our future is exciting.
When you're talking, I'm thinking about your workforce and just how that, and we mentioned it a little bit earlier, but just how that idea of working in the tube mill at Sharon or Wheatland Tube has just changed in the automation, but it's still that worker mentality. And so when you think about the best things about Mercer County, what comes to mind? Because we're really trying to kind of tear the lid off the county and show people from the region and outside the region just how great a place this is to have a company and to send your kids to school and do the recreation thing. So what do you see? You're a lifelong resident here.
Yeah, I think we have great schools. I think even throughout our whole area, we have people that really care about their jobs, whether it's in the manufacturing or whether they're teachers, whether they're in economic development. People really care, and you can see that. And as you're here in our community, you see we have great parks, we have great open spaces, very safe community. And I think those are the things that you can really build a family on. And I think people are finding that there's arts, there's things to do. And I think that was always the negative, that people thought that college, you had to go to college and you had to move out. And maybe that is true to just see other things or get experiences. But at the end of the day, you're going to realize, hey, I had a pretty good thing. We're close to cities, Pittsburgh or Cleveland. And, and we have that, hometown mentality that really, that's what the bigger places are doing. You go to Pittsburgh, everybody's moving out in the suburbs. They want to replicate Mercer County,
Yeah.
So it's, that's how I feel about it.
And we see them actually migrating a little further north now, which is great. I think the other thing that people are amazed by, and you see it from the business perspective, is our transportation network. But even being here where we're sitting now in Greenville, the northern part of the county, you go up Main Street, you make a left and a couple of lights, and an hour later you're at the regional airport of Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh International Airport's right there. And for you in the valley, it's a 45-minute trek down there, and
Yep.
the world's right there. But our location with 7980 access to 376, is that a benefit for our manufacturers? Do they really rely on that transportation network pretty heavily?
We do, yes. I think it's very attractive to the newer businesses. Obviously, we've been here for a long time, and actually before some of those roads were put in.
Right.
But no, I think you'll see the whole like in our business, we deal with flatbed trucking, and we're lucky to have, you know, great carrier organizations in our area, and we want to really keep partners with them. But it does help. It helps for us to get out on those roads and, you know, get to our deliveries, and you know, and I think more for everybody else, the next wave of businesses. It's a good corridor to be in. Yeah.
Is it safe to say that most of your customers are within that 8-hour ride from here, or are you doing a lot of over the road, getting to ports and all that other stuff with your products?
No, most of our business, the Sharon Tube business, is in the Midwest. So in that the Chicago region, that just so happened to be where a lot of the I'll say OEMs that really would take the tubing and cut it into cylinders, or a lot of we make it into the automotive business, and a lot of those type of manufacturing businesses are in that area. But for like Wheatland, the standard pipe business, they go all the way up into the Northeast. It's not that we don't, but I would say we're 300 miles, you know, 300 to 500 mile, you know, range.
Can't really talk about transportation without talking about the increased costs that we've seen just from fuel and tolls. I mean, is that a major part of your business, or is it just another hurdle you got to get through?
It's a major part of our business. Yes, it's really it's our top, you know, top 3 costs is transportation. So it's a big deal. We watch it very closely. It's a very competitive market, so the supply is very low, and there's a lot of businesses really going after the trucks. So there's bidding, and you know, of course, the fuel costs. So it's a big deal, and the really elevated costs is really, you know, we have our eye on it, but it's a cost of business, and it's up there for sure.
I guess the only positive about that is everybody's dealing with it. It's not unique to your business,
Right.
Particularly. So, anything else you'd like to add today? Anything we didn't touch on?
No, I think we covered it. It was nice talking with you, Rod.
Tim, we really appreciate you, and we appreciate the commitment that your family of companies have made to Mercer County, and of course you and your family individually. It's just great partners, and appreciate everything you do for us. And we want to thank our viewers as well. We appreciate you for watching this edition of Discover Mercer County Business. Again, want to thank our guest Tim Feeney from the Zekelman Companies for being here with us. We're producing this show in the state-of-the-art TV and radio studios in the James Pettis Communications Center on Teal's campus in Greenville, PA. We want to thank the students, faculty, and staff who've helped us bring this particular show to life. If you have an idea or a suggestion for a future edition of Discover Mercer County Business, please connect with our Improvement Movement team on our website at penn-northwest.com, or give us a call at 724-662-3705. And remember, you can find out more about Penn-Northwest Development Corporation by searching for our programs on YouTube or connecting with us on LinkedIn and other social media platforms. We hope you enjoyed this edition of Discover Mercer County Business, and we'll see you again next time.